Hello out there in cryptocurrency land. How is everybody doing today? I only say that for the people that are going to see this in the future. At the start of these videos, there's kind of nothing for a little bit. So welcome to The Real Crypto. If you're not familiar, we do cryptocurrency trading and information. Try to keep it real and updated. This isn't a fluff channel. You're not going to see any hype here, guys. So if you want information, if you want to learn something, stay tuned. Move this back up into here. Looks like Neo's made some progress. Kind of. Zcash. Not too bad, Zcash. Pay. Hello, what's up, guys? John, what's up, dog? Very good, Avenge Voltaire. How are you? Miles, howdy, buddy. Dillman, good to see you again. How's everyone doing? You guys making trades, holding tight? What's going on? Did you guys see what happened to Pay this morning? Quite an interesting event. So they're up about 50% up into that 2.5 area. May have been up more than that for the total move. Yeah, about 60%. They pulled back here nicely. So I believe they got a card issuer to work with them, which is why they ended up moving. Rob Dove, hello newbie checking in. How are you? Welcome to the room. Luce is going 100 times short. That's interesting. Sold Pay yesterday, Max. You know, buddy, you can't regret. You can't have regrets in this in markets. There's no regrets here. There's just the next trade. Think about the Lisk chart. Diogo, how are you, buddy? So just so you guys know, I will have to cut this abruptly short at the top of the hour. I do have a hard appointment, so I will be leaving probably about 55, depending on what hour it is where you are. Jan Janake, how are you doing? You did short last night, Lucid? Probably a decent short. It hasn't really moved a ton if you're talking about, someone did mention Lisk. Let's look at Lisk. So there's a few coins that are not really having moves, but aren't selling off here. Lisk is one of them. I think Lisk is a good quality overall coin, so that is definitely in Lisk's favor. But overall, we still have declining volume, so really not much happening here with Lisk. In terms of the big two, Ethereum and Bitcoin, they've just been sitting right at these low levels, so it didn't pierce through like I was, anticipating, which is actually a good thing. The longer and the more orderly that we get these, actually, believe it or not, the more that confirms the downtrend. The more we get these orderly kind of waves down. If it just spikes down like here, it's just going to spike right up, and then it's just a big emotional roller coaster. These boring markets can kill you because you don't sell and you don't feel compelled to sell, which is why you need to understand how to spot topping action and defensive selling, things of that nature. What is a bullish confirmation and not a bull trap? So the definition of a bull trap is something that pops higher, that like this is a bull trap right here. It pops higher out of some kind of a consolidation level. Its intention with a bull trap is to kind of literally trap people into buying while they sell into those people buying. So a bull trap is when it pops up higher and fails instantly. One key way to spot a bull trap is very low volume on the up bar. So that's one key way to spot a bull trap, is very low volume. Also, bull traps tend to happen in bear markets, okay? Bull traps happen in bear markets, and bear traps happen in bull markets, right? So here's a bear trap. The spike down, that's a bear trap. You know, they're trying to get everyone to think it's going to sell, then they buy it up crazy. So here's a little bear trap. You know, we're still in the overall uptrend here. So here's a bear trap. Here's a bear trap. You know, this is kind of a bull trap, but you know, you're not getting trapped out too much. But a bull trap is essentially a short pop to the upside that is instantly faded, and then a bear trap is kind of the reverse of that. It shoots to the downside, then instantly comes in. It can be, so think of it this way: you're going to have a lot more bull traps than bull moves, and a lot more bear traps than bear moves. So identifying what am I trying to say here? What am I trying to say here? Guys, I completely lost my train of thought. I apologize about that. So if you're in an overall uptrend, what I'm trying to say is you're going to have a lot of bear traps, okay? So you can't think that every time it goes down that the move is over and you have to sell, okay? In the opposite of that, when we're in a bear mode, you can't think every bull trap is meaning that we're going to go higher. Does that make sense? Because lately we've had a lot of pops that got faded. It's like, you know, this could be considered a bull trap. This could be considered a bull trap. This could be considered a small bull trap. This could be considered a bull trap. So eventually one of these bull traps will actually not be a bull trap and will be a run up. And how to notice that is, number one, the recent history. Like this isn't a bull trap. This move up here wasn't necessarily a bull trap, not in the sense of the word with an instant pop. It did come up quite significantly and consolidate. So that was good for a trade, okay? We'll take a look at OMG. Yeah, a good time to buy, Diogo. I probably should have stayed pointed to that particular question. So a good time to buy technically is when a prior high. So if you remember, Diogo, I think you've been a subscriber a while. If you remember, we popped off this 3,000 and we were up here, and I said, you know, we're not in clear buying yet, and then we had this cup with handle, this W pattern put in Bitcoin. I said you can trade as of right now. As of right here. Reason being because we came up, we went down, and we failed to go down further, and then we proceeded to go upward. So it's okay to trade after this down move's been tested. Once this move to the downside has been tested and we're confirmed to go up, that is a very safe entry point. There's other non-safe entry points, which is anywhere in here, you know, but this is a very safe entry point. At that same token, kind of over here, you start to notice that this is not going to sustain an upward movement, and right in here is when you really start to understand that we're just going to continue lower. How's the RSI doing? I don't know. I actually don't trade the RSI. I can throw it up there, but Terex made a move, or is that? Oh, it's 10x. Sorry, that's my screen. Yeah, 10x made a move. Yes, it did. We talked about that, Aviad. It made a move. Could be good for. So think about it this way, right? The market's in an overall in a downtrend right now. I'm not going to call it a bear market. That hasn't been confirmed yet. If we break 3,000, then we're in a bear market. Then we're definitely in a bear market. Even though I do say bear market sometimes, but it's technically a downtrend. Okay. That being said, 10x recently had some extraordinarily good news that could sustain it for the intermediate term. Now, if the market does sell off further, it doesn't mean that it's going to bounce. What it means is that it may not sell off. It may hold steady, and then once the selling's abated, then people will start moving money into coins again. That's when 10x will really start to take off. So you want to see the action in 10x, how this behaves in relation to Bitcoin and Ethereum, and that's pretty much how you're going to want to play this one, because it is down here pretty low, and it does have a nice. We're at $2 right now, $2.14. I mean, think about it. Its high is well up in the $5-6, so that's a four bagger right there. Yeah, it's a four bagger. Vlad says the RSI is not worth to look. It's not that the RSI isn't worth it. There's quite a few people that do trade off the RSI. Let me put it up there for you. Just a little thing about indicators here. Okay, I can't do RSI. Okay, let's kill a couple moving averages that I don't use anyways. Yeah, so an RSI isn't necessarily a bad indicator. I just don't particularly find it horribly useful. Okay, so let's go back and let's back this up against Ethereum. So yeah, as you can see, we're kind of actually this chart kind of really follows this pretty well to the upside, to the downside. So this, this didn't have an oversold reading on it right here. You see how this is kind of chopping around here? The basic premise behind an RSI is that you have these extremes at the 70 and at the 30, and that when it gets up here, you're supposed to, be cautious and sell, and when it gets down here, you're supposed to buy and be more aggressive. The problem with that is during extreme lows like this situation, it just bounces at the lows or holds down at the lows, and then up here, it can stay at at highs for quite some time. Like we go out to the daily. So, like you see up here, the RSI was just kind of all in the upper range. It's really hard to know what to do. And there's guys that spend a lot of time understanding the RSI. I'm just not one of them. I have used the MACD before in the past. I took it off my chart some time ago. I just haven't spent the time to really get to know it. But I do find the MACD, in my opinion, is probably the best indicator. That's just my opinion, which literally means nothing. But yeah, Diogo, I mean, look, if you want to spend some time, researching the RSI and the MACD, yeah, go for it. Definitely go for it. All these tools are useful, and everyone trades a little bit differently. So I'm not trying to turn you off from a tool, which is why I brought it up here. The only other thing I'm going to say about RSIs and MACDs is if you go into the settings of these, you can actually change this, the length of this indicating. So like, look, I want to do 50. So see how it changes the MACD, or the RSI. So you can actually, there's a lot of settings to do, and with the MACD, let's get this out of here. With the MACD, there's even more settings. Now, actually, that's not even I don't think that's the traditional MACD. Yeah, I actually don't mind the MACD. I think it gives you a little bit more granularity because you have a longer term moving average versus a shorter term moving average. You can actually plot these on the chart too. If you think about it, like if I were to put a 12 moving average up here, let's do this. Let's put a 12 moving average up. So there's a 12 moving average. And then let's go ahead and put a 26. So we're just going to emulate this, right? 12, 26, there's close, and there's 9. We can't get it exactly, but you can kind of get these bars kind of giving you signals. You can do that with moving averages too. They're all showing the same thing, just in different fashions. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Like I said, I'm pressed for time today. All right. Check to use turning points. Yeah, it is pretty good for turning points. QDM, why hasn't Bitcoin fell to the next support level of 3,000? Well, there's 365 days in a year, Jerry, and trading is kind of sometimes more of a marathon than a sprint. It doesn't always do what you want in the time frame that you want it. You just kind of have to, go with the flow. Max, anything in China is possible. Anytime you have a dictatorship, anything is possible. So just going through the chat here, guys. Just want to. What other resources would you recommend for learning trading? That's actually a very good question. There are quite a few. There are quite a few. I actually just recently started a website. It's not really super live yet, but if you go to realcrypto.com, I started putting some books up here. Some really good trading books. If you go to trading resources, I also do a blog every once in a while, every 2 or 3 days. These are some of the best books, and they don't have nothing to do with cryptocurrencies. They have to do with stocks, but really that's where all these come from. So probably these are probably your 3 best books right here. This Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns. This is the 2nd edition by Bulkowski. I have this 1st edition, but apparently they stopped printing this. It's really hard to find on Amazon, but it is less expensive. This is like 75 to 80 bucks, depending on when you find it. But this is a very, very good book on chart patterns and explaining them. And they give you tons of statistics. It's quite in-depth. So if you just want to learn about chart patterns in general, this is a good book to get. These bottom 2 books, these are How to Make Money in Stocks by William O'Neill and How to Make Money in Stocks Success Stories by Amy Smith. This has a lot of good charts in it as well. This is very geared towards stocks, so I would say 60 to 80% of the book you can translate into cryptocurrencies. The rest of it regarding earnings reports and stuff obviously isn't going to hold a parallel, but there's a lot of good information in here, and you can just get the general gist of how institutions and professionals actually view the market. This one down here, I think everybody should get this How to Make Money in Stocks. If you're going to buy it, use my link. I'll get a little bit of coin from it. I'd appreciate that. This is like $9 or $8. It's an $8 book. But these are success stories. People that have been trading, and again, this is geared at stocks, but people that have traded using this system in the Green Book, and they all do it a little bit differently. They all find their own spins on trading. No 2 styles are exactly alike, but the stories in here are really phenomenal. It's not a long read, and it can really get you in a good mindset of, okay, you know what, if I stick with this and am disciplined and form a plan, I can do this. And this is a really good book to just for your mental health. It's just a really good book. I'm going to keep populating this with more books. I'm also going to put some website resources up here as well. And I'm kind of just picking at this website right now, and in time it'll develop. I can take a look at Dash. Fong, hello, how are you? How do you get rid of the lower screen? Are you talking about when I had the indicator up here? What you can do, there's actually an X. Every single indicator has this kind of settings menu right here. You can just click this X and it will remove that indicator, and it may be in the lower bottom here. But if you want to get rid of this volume, this volume is actually right here. So if I hide this, see how it goes away. Of course, you can ask me a question, Fong. Is BCH ever go up? Is your question? Does it ever go up? Sure it does. So that's Bitcoin Cash, I believe. You said BCH? I'm assuming that's Bitcoin Cash, buddy. Max, we do talk about metal occasionally. Pretty much when people bring it up. I really do stick to the main 2 coins because the market follows that, and they have the best charts, so you kind of get a feel for charting as well. So this is not an interesting chart to me. We have this, you see this large rising channel. Technically, rising channels lead to downside movements. Coincidentally, downside channels lead to upward movements. So I really wouldn't be interested in metal, especially down here. I would wait for some good buying action. Screener text notes. Oh, like this thing? Yeah, you just have to click on the tab again right here. So if you go to Pine Editor, you click on the Pine Editor tab again. Whatever tab is open, you click on it, and then it'll just minimize for you. What have my percent gains in Bitcoin been this last year? Good question. So I have 2 accounts. I have a trading account, and then I have a core position account. My core position account, I'm down about 2 to 3% in. I don't have that exact figure for you. So this is how I traded my core position account, and I'll show you exactly why I'm down. Number one, so I've been trading stocks for about 15 years. Been in the markets 20, been trading around 15 years. So I got in Ethereum at 316, so somewhere around here, and I held it all through this run up. I expected us to flag out in Ethereum before we went up. I didn't expect this massive downtrend, so I ended up getting out with a little bit of gains in Ethereum. I got out kind of up in the 360 level. I had actually 2 entries in Ethereum, one at 316, one at 340. I got out above this, my second entry at 340. I sold that over here. And I was trying to pick a couple bottoms here, seeing what would work, and I lost about 2%. Or I lost a little more than 2% because I was up. I maybe lost 5 to 6%, but because I was up 3 to 4%, I'm only down 2 to 3%. In my trading account that I've been actively trading for a little bit longer, I'm up 70% currently. Between 60 and 70%. I haven't actually looked at the numbers. It's split between a few accounts. Will I be able to tell you if BCH is ever going up anytime soon? So real quick, Miles, so I have my account started is 10% trading. So if you think of it, I have basically I have 10,000 in my core account, and I started out with 1,000 in my trading account, and I'm up to 1,700 in my trading account. So whatever that percentage is, those are my real numbers. I am not a millionaire. I'm really, really good with the charts. My personal trading, though, I have a lot of emotional swings, which I have curbed, and I'm doing well at, which is why I'm not down 70% in my trading account. Because if you think about it, where I got in this market, right here towards the top, I easily could have been murdered during this shakeout here, during this market correction. But because I've already had my ass kicked several times, I tend not to let that happen anymore. So I'm sitting in cash on my core position. I'm waiting for a really good bottom in Bitcoin and or Ethereum, and at some point I will probably end up buying, I don't know if I'll buy Bitcoin or Ethereum. I keep going back and forth. On a fundamental basis as far as which I'm going to put my core account into. So what do we do? We're waiting for now for Bitcoin to recover. Can we find something to trade? All coins are down. So what you can do, the best thing you can do in a bear market, there's a couple things you can do. Number one, educate yourself. This is your time to study. This is your time to become a better trader. This is your time to educate yourself. Read books. Spend time watching videos. Avoid the idiots that pretend they're gods and the guys that give you common sense information like myself. Listen to them. None of us on here are 100%, none of us on here are millionaires, but we have a lot of knowledge, and you guys can learn from that, and that's your job during these downtrends, is to learn. You can also raise cash. You can go on a vacation. You can go on a trip, because when this market goes in bull mode, you're not going to want to go anywhere. You're going to want to be sitting here. Now, if we get into a prolonged bull trend, then yeah, you can go on a vacation then. But right now, your job is to learn. That's your job. Fong, I never answered your Bitcoin. I'm assuming you mean Bitcoin Cash. I've got it as BCC, but I think you're right. It's Bitcoin Cash with BCH. I can't answer if this is ever going higher, to be quite honest with you. I'm not saying that because I don't like it. I'm not saying that for any specific reason. It is aiming down here. Okay, so we are definitely going a little bit lower. But if you take a look at its parallel, would, in my opinion, be Ethereum Classic, right, where the blockchain's essentially forked. So we did have some nice runs in Ethereum Classic, don't get me wrong. But I think at some point in time, the market is going to choose a side. With Bitcoin Cash not doing the the SegWit. It didn't do the SegWit, and it's not going to do SegWit 2. In time, the technology may be its enemy. So that's kind of a fundamental analysis. From a chart analysis, it just doesn't look strong. There's no strength here. Just like with most coins, there's just no strength. If we go down to the 2-hour chart, yeah, like if you have a big position in Bitcoin Cash and you're looking at a place to get out, you're wondering if you can recover some of your losses, and you're just kind of lost, that can be a very difficult place, and I can definitely appreciate that. But at some point, you have to learn to take a loss. And for me, that some point is very quickly. I take losses very quickly. Okay? If I have something that's working for me, I let it run. If I have something that's creating losses for me, I get out of it very quickly. So that's how I get out of losing positions. If you're already deep into a losing position, at some point it's gonna, it can maybe go all the way down for you, or it can come back up. It's really any guessing game. If you get into a trade not having a plan, if you get into a trade not really knowing an exit strategy, then anything can happen to you. Did I miss NEM? I didn't really cover NEM yet. Fong, I think I just answered your Bitcoin Cash question. If you got X amount of money and you want to invest in your top 10 coins, how do you split the X between them? So that is that's a portfolio building strategy. It could be a number of things. Hold on with me, guys. I think I may have my my appointment show up early. Hold on a minute. Alright guys, thank you. Sorry about that. I'm gonna have to go. My meeting my meeting arrived a little bit early today. So apologize about that. Tomorrow I'll spend some more time with you guys. Maybe I'll do something this afternoon. Stocks are easier to trade than cryptos, in my opinion. Stocks are a little bit easier. That's about it. So guys, like I said, I gotta cut it short today. So I will see you in my my market wrap-up video this afternoon, and maybe I'll jump in the chat as well. And we will see